Flashbacks, quarterbacks, baby got back. We go back in time, and you know what it smells like? Smells like Teen Spirit. That's right. Roswell, New Mexico, Season 1, Episode 6. Smells like Teen Spirit. The after show at Afterbuzz starts right now.
You're tuned in to Afterbuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Let the buzz begin. You know who Rosa reminds me of? Steph Sabra in the booth. Just a tragic character.
You know, Look wiser.
Yeah.
All the other
just
stuff.
Just all the way around.
Oh, wow.
You know?
She doesn't have half the personality that Steph has.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Steph doesn't have half the personality.
Man.
Rosa has. But Steph is in the booth, so everyone at home who is tuning in, we will read your live comments as she is there. And of course, my name is Tehran. I will be hosting the panel alongside the one and only Jim
Alexander
is in the building. And of course, George is here with us as well.
That's George Khouri, Tehran.
I love the last names because Liz used the last name as she walked out on Max Evans on this episode. And we're going to talk about that and much, much more as we talk about the flashbacks, prom, Michael and Alex, Max and Liz, Isobel and Rosa, Rosa's murder, which we kind of got a glimpse at, or did we? The blackouts, Who You, our special segment where we pick a scene and a character in the show and let it relate to us. And of course, we do have some ultimate predictions for next episode. And are we getting a next season? Let's talk about all these things. Let's jump right into it. Starting with George, what were your overall thoughts on this episode?
My overall thoughts are that I love this episode because I felt it went full circle. I understood everything that was happening in front of me all the time because I got the backstory.
You got the backstory. So you like the flashbacks?
Yes.
Like the flashbacks, Jim.
Good recovery from the last show. I wasn't a fan of the last one, but this one gave us a trip down memory lane, and we kind of saw all these answers that we were getting clues for the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Or did we? I actually have a lot more questions this week than I have answers, and I'll tell you a couple of them. Overall thoughts, great episode. Definitely, possibly the best of the season.
It's a contender.
Created,
it's intriguing, yeah.
Yeah, it created empathy in the characters for us. Knowing the backstory was fun. I enjoyed seeing them. And they did a really good job of making them look super young.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Put a baseball cap on Max. That's about
that was it. Well, they used maybe extra makeup and things, which is the dress. It was really good. I will say this. Questions that I have. Do they look like aliens in a normal form? And now they're mimicking humans? Or is this an entire race of human-shaped aliens?
I think they're just humans who have these superpowers. As we saw them as children, they look like perfectly normal kids, and they are reasoning. They're finding out what their powers are.
So you do not think they're aliens from outer space?
I do believe that, but I just think that they're more similar to humans than we give them credit for, or the town gives them credit for.
Did you see them bleed? Did you see their blood? What color is it? Is it all human-like? I don't know. I think there might be something underneath that skin. That skin that might be some kind of liquid nitrogen type of blood that they have.
I
think it's just the outer appearance that makes it look human.
Color of the handprint?
Yeah, I was asking Jim, saying maybe there's some sort of plasma running through there.
Yeah. I'm like imagining plasma going right
I'm
through.
just surprised they look human. Why would they look human? They are aliens. Why would we've adapted our shape because of the world we live in.
Right.
Is their world that similar that they also look like us? Or are they just humans and this is an experiment? There's much more to the alien backstory that we're finding out, and we're finding it out through Isobel. And also the alien shape keeps appearing. The circles with the little 3 mark in the middle.
We saw it on Michael at some point.
We saw handprints. We've seen it on people's hands. We've seen it being drawn on paper. I mean, this alien symbol stands for something. So when I say I have more questions, now I actually have questions. Why didn't Max actually kiss Liz? Like that, there's a question. I understand.
Oh, I got the answer to that.
You got 14 openings. Let's make a move, Max.
No.
But then when he did make a move, it was a little late. And then we see Michael and Alex, and that move didn't work out, and then it did. You know, this is how the show keeps going back around. Let's start off with the flashbacks. Liked it, hated it.
Loved it. No like or hate involved. I loved the flashbacks. First of all, I thought that the casting was phenomenal. And that
As the kids,
right?
The kids look like
they did.
Yeah, they looked like their respective characters. And I loved seeing the high school wardrobe theme. I thought the wardrobe team at Roswell, New Mexico did an outstanding job dressing them. I thought it was great. The brighter colors bring out the youthfulness. We saw the bangs in Isobel. So I really thought that it connected well to the viewer.
You mean like when they were teenagers or in 2004?
Both,
when they were
actually.
kids?
2004, 2008,
Yeah.
it flashed back in different scenes.
And I thought it was done tastefully in each time that they provided the flashback.
Jim, were you a fan?
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, the kids, the 2004 look was, I mean, they casted some, especially the Michael kid. He was a dead ringer.
I actually thought the Isobel was even better because she had
But
the
she
mole.
looked old. She had the mole. She had the mole.
mole.
She looked older, though. She looked older than those two other boys. I
Well,
felt
maybe
like.
it was just her maturity.
Possibly. And then the teenagers, yeah, I mean, they just put a hat on Max and Isobel got
The
a little, the
bangs killed
bangs.
it. The bangs
yeah, but
killed
it
it.
made a difference enough to
It
put
did.
them,
I
yeah.
believe them as teenagers as well. They did look 10 years younger.
Definitely.
I thought they were 10 years younger. One part which I was having confusion with is why is Rosa hanging out in high school so much and she's 19?
Right. She had held back. She had to have been held back with all her issues.
I don't think she was still in high school. I think she was just hanging out at the high school because even the girls who were in the car with her were high school girls.
Yeah, but when you have, I think it's because her sister was in the high school and that was the connecting point. She was close to her sister.
That's how
And
you catch a charge, George. That's how you catch a charge.
I don't think she was partaking in any of that. Well, how old was Isobel?
17 probably, because Max was 17, so I'm guessing they're all the same age.
Oh,
So we're
we have
looking at it
something.
in a situation. I really like the flashbacks. I thought they were done extremely well.
Awesome, yeah.
I like the concept of them as kids and them finding out about their powers. Something that was intriguing was the fact that Michael had way more control over his powers as a kid than he does what I feel like as an adult. Mm-hmm. He was powerful enough to bury the guy that Max killed, basically with his power, and he was the one who basically went through the puberty last. He went through the power exchange last and wasn't aware of it until that moment. Kills the transient that seems to be attacking or disturbing Isabel's pee or whatever she was doing, and then
And that's a good point you made, that Michael seemed to be in control, because when they were kind of recapping their powers. So Isobel said they said Isobel controls thoughts.
Thoughts.
Michael says, I move things. And Max was kind of like, I don't know, I just rage and electricity and stuff happens, something. So we saw actually during that conflict when Max comes in, he actually, which surprised me, he attacked as a human would attack.
Do you guys think they're suppressing their powers? Like someone like Michael is suppressing his powers and kind of forgetting
100%.
about him?
He's not using it to his full
Yeah.
potential. And every time I watch one of these superpower shows, I always think that. If it was me, I don't care what my superpower is. I'm going to use it to the fullest extent of my ability. I'm not going to... Steph and I are on the Gifted panel, and we watch these superheroes, basically the mutants, not using their power to their fullest potential at all, and we're getting upset. And I'm furious because I'm like, even if I was Chin Man, you would know, like I would be the Chin, like everyone would know. I would just go around
But
hitting
are
people
you
with chins.
in an environment where your safety would be compromised?
You live in a desert, George. You can go in the middle of the desert and practice your power 10 hours a day.
Practice of power, but we saw what happened to Isobel in the desert. There's still people roaming there. They had to be low key.
Sure, but they were in inhabited
New
part. It's a
Mexico.
desert. Go somewhere else. Just go down the road. I'm just saying they had to have practice to be able to use their powers. In fact, we see in a flashback where Isabel's like, I'll change the teacher's mind who didn't want to let me go to prom. I'll change her mind. So she's practiced it before.
They should have used their powers from earlier age to intimidate the town. Then they wouldn't feel as outcasts, and they feel
Okay, Machiavelli. I'm not saying that they should have used their powers to take over the world. What I'm saying is this isn't General Zod here, okay? What I was
that
saying,
called, like a coup or something?
what I was saying is that they should
Thanos.
just be very aware of their powers and who they are. I feel like they need to investigate themselves more. That's why they have such a hard time with who they are now, because they didn't investigate. They're like, what are we, some murderous aliens that came here just to kill?
Yeah,
Well,
they forget about everything. No one questioned Isobel incident, what happened with the Rosa thing. They just let it slide and let it move on without ever they let them haunted them basically in their dreams, as Max talked about him having these dreams constantly, but yet they never ask questions or follow up. It just seems weird. They wouldn't do that.
Well, yeah, they did say, I have a note here, one day we were children and then we were something else after the murder. So I think what happened is they stopped exploring because the murder just happened too soon. Imagine being kids and now you murdered someone. You're shocked. You don't want to explore that anymore.
Get shot in the hood every day, B. He'd be all right.
They're associating their powers with murder. So they don't see it internally as this gift or a blessing. They see it as something that's going to harm people.
Strong. Well, you know what doesn't harm people is Afterbuzz.
Definitely doesn't. We like to thank all of you out there for making us the ESPN of TV talk and joining us every week on this Roswell panel. But we do need your support. So when you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe, comment. We love hearing your comments. We want to hear what theories you guys might have that align with us, or maybe teach us something we haven't noticed yet. And if you're listening on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, comment there also. We really use your help, and we could use it for sure, and like engaging with you guys. So keep on supporting us. It doesn't cost you anything. And being part of AfterBuzz has meant a lot to me personally, because I get to talk about Roswell, New Mexico with you guys and debate all these mysteries and Rosa and aliens right now. So keep on supporting us. We really appreciate it.
We do, and you guys are all part of our panel, if not more than us. So thank you so much. We do respond to the comments below. And of course, Steph Sabra is in the booth on the live read. Sure, she's dead on the inside, but on the outside, she's live. So let's discuss.
Thank you. I like that.
Steph liked it too. Listen, let's talk about prom, okay? Prom, I don't know how your prom went, but this prom went amazing and horrible at the same time.
It went amazing for Max.
Depends for who, right?
Bad for everyone else, I thought.
Listen, one thing we got to see is my boy.
Your boy Kyle lost it.
The varsity, homecoming king, varsity top-notch guy. He's probably the quarterback. This guy was rolling. Now we know the backstory of he was the man, but then he gets dumped over the fact that he gets in a little squabble.
No. He showed his true color. That was actually to pick on someone for being gay.
Okay, so basically Alex called him out on it there and put him in a bad position in front of Liz.
That's because Kyle did it to himself. So we remember the episode before where they're discussing how Alex basically goes, you used to pick on me to make yourself liked by other people, even though we used to be really good friends. And Kyle is questioning why he did that. Clearly showing a change in character.
Yeah, he made a scene out of it though. He didn't make a scene out of it in front of everyone.
He punched Alex.
Right.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Well, Alex knocked him back too. So.
Sure. He's supposed to. You basically called him. He called him a faggot. That was the whole.
They didn't
the subtle.
word.
That was the subtle part of it.
Yeah,
the subtleness was that's what he said. And that's very, very wrong.
And I'll tell you what, I liked how Liz did stand up in that moment, because a lot of people have questioned her character or motives as she's shifting around and doing things. But that was refreshing to me to see Liz stand not only just for Rosa, because that's been her main purpose, but we show she cares about the people around her.
She cared about people. That's one thing that made me like Liz more, is that Kyle knew enough to act different in front of her because she wouldn't stand for that kind of behavior.
Exactly.
And this is a person who's clearly in tune with social awareness and social issues, because she's been a marginalized minority herself her whole life, being an illegal immigrant and a dreamer and a person who's known this country and not her parents' country. Her parents have come here for a better life, so she stands up for the underdog.
And I love that, because a lot of the times minorities only stand for their own respective community, and she stepped over to another minority who's being discriminated against and stood up for them.
She did, but here's a counter thing, because unless she suspected of Kyle doing this on a regular basis, that could have been a he said, she said kind of thing. This is the first time she sees it up close, Kyle being accused of that, and she right away makes a judgment on it.
Yeah, but it came off as if Kyle's kind of a dickhead. Let's be real.
Well, yeah.
or at least guilty. I don't believe that Kyle denied saying it all together.
He didn't deny it either. He basically, Alex called him out on it, and then Kyle was
he was stuck in no man's territory.
What are you, you're going to do this in front of Liz? And
No,
he was like,
actually,
you're going to be a different person?
He specifically repeated something. he said, I like tacos and you like hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
He added more fuel to the fire.
Yeah, he definitely is.
He was taunting him.
Yeah, and you know what? I was actually very enamored with Liz at that moment because Liz I haven't always had a good place in my heart for Liz. Because
She's been
of her
wishy-washy.
up and down in the way she treats Max.
Oh, is Tehran Team Liz now? Is that what it
It's not that I've always been more Team Liz than anyone else, and I've been shipping Max and Liz. But I also liked Liz more in this episode, and I liked Max less. Really? Because of what happened later. I felt I liked Max less because he became wishy-washy.
Yeah.
And Liz was able to stand up. And also in that incident, Max didn't do anything. Michael stepped up and pushed Kyle away.
Michael is a man
grabbed
of
Alex.
integrity.
He does have
we're
principles.
learning a lot
demonstrates
about
it.
Michael a lot. Every week we seem to, he takes the fall for everyone. This is like the second or third week he's volunteered to do that. He was pinned originally that he was like the bad guy, the one that's a troublemaker, but he is clearly becoming the guy that's
He's
the most
martyr.
mature. He's the most
100%.
mature
He's the
martyr of that group.
He's clearly being abused by his adopted parents, where they tried to do an exorcism on him because I guess he probably demonstrated his powers.
That's what it was.
He demonstrated his powers. That's what was on the arm and everything. They basically are possibly extremely conservative religious family, and he might have demonstrated some type of power in front of them, and they tried to take it out of him. And he needs to leave the house, and to the point where by high school he's living out of his truck for real.
Yes.
He steps up with with Rose's murder, and he tries to take the rap for it, and he basically does, so that his sister doesn't take the abruptness for her own personal psyche.
Right.
I mean, Michael comes out being, I'm way more Team Michael than I am anyone else.
It's
right
hard
now.
not to be.
Yeah, he seems like the real kind of genuine guy that legitimately, if anyone, I know they talk about always like, well, Max loves Isabel and vice versa, but like, I think Michael loves them the most because he's always trying to actually step up in a moment where they need him.
And he's always trying to impress them. Even with Michael, he gets into a really good school or something, and Isabel's just not impressed.
Right.
Oh, right. You and him. I don't know if she wasn't impressed, but she just despises the thought of any of them leaving.
Sure.
And leaving her behind.
But she treats it, even when you see the prom photo, her hands on Michael, on Max, not on Michael.
Right. He's like the black sheep of the crew.
Yeah, Michael's clearly always the outsider, even when they're together.
Yeah.
Not that they don't love him, but they always give him the one step behind.
I want to get to the root of that.
He's
I
the
still
middle
have
child of the family, you know?
Yeah, I still have that question in my mind.
Well, because he was adopted by another parent, which why wasn't he adopted it with them both? I mean, there were just a lot of things that happened and going on, and we're finding a lot more about Michael, and especially his love interest with Alex. So let's talk about that. Michael and Alex, we see the beginning of their relationship. That was interesting.
Hot and steamy from the start.
Well, it wasn't from the start.
Well,
because
not from the first interaction.
there
right.
was like, you could tell there was some tension, and Alex is this like emo kid with the earring and the nose ring and the whole thing. Very different than the Alex we see now, who's followed his father's footsteps.
Right. Alex was catering to Michael. And I believe that was the number one appeal that Michael saw to Alex. Someone who is holistically caring for him. As we said, we've seen Michael care for everyone else, and him feeling rejected by his parents, having Alex step in, and even at one point said, why can't I do something nice just to be nice? He gave him the guitar, gave him a place to stay in the sheds. He didn't have to be in the truck. He really felt catered to. And as we learned, that was his first experience with a man. And his catering was enough to win his love over.
It was easy to do that, but I understand it because that's the first time we even see on the show someone doing something for Michael without him doing it first for them. Even his closest friends and Max and Isabel, here we see Alex actually showing something without getting anything in return.
Well, I like the concept that Alex and Michael, when they're together and they actually are going through with it, Michael has a conversation with Max and then makes that self-actualization where he's telling Max, you should go for it, and then really is telling himself. Then he goes to where Alex is working at the movie theater and the Alien Museum movie theater thing and goes, let's talk in private. We knew what that meant.
Yeah.
They go
People
back.
aren't seeing their movies. That's what it meant. They're waiting in line and no one's there to sell a ticket.
It meant that they went back and they shipped. And when they did, it was the first time. And then Alex says, have you ever done this before? And Michael's like, yeah, I've done this, but not with a guy and not with someone I actually like.
That was deep.
Yeah, it was like a strong scene. It was very passionate. It was very intimate. It was cool until Dad shows up. Sheesh.
Oh, that was harsh.
Yeah.
And then once again, when Dad shows up, again, you see Michael running in the face of harm, and he took the hit for Alex.
That's a great point.
This
He
guy's a
stepped
hero.
up. He is.
And throughout all these like love relationships, we see, and I always believed in the shipping of Alex and Michael, we see that Michael has fought harder for his love interest more than anyone else out there.
He's putting his body on the line, literally, for that. So.
Yeah, because the dad took the hammer. What did you guys think about that? That was picked up the hammer. Alex got scared. Michael steps up, and then, like from what we can tell, he bashes.
Yeah, Alex was going to get hammered, no pun intended.
And this is deep. and this may be going too deep. I caught on to something when Michael gives the Jesus reference when they're performing the exorcism. Well, the story of Jesus, he had the power to save himself and didn't. And in that moment where the father was attacking Alex, we knew that Michael could have just thrown him, but it was almost like he wanted to be the sacrifice, and he took the pain. And that's what surprised me a lot. I was expecting him to use his superpower then. And he didn't. He literally took the pain for the.
It was a
person he loved.
reaction, though. I think he didn't even have a time to think
He
about it.
didn't, as far as we know, because they did cut. But that's a very interesting thing. It'd be interesting to know if he did use his power or
later
not.
on.
If he used it or not, and that's. But then again, I think that the Master Sergeant Maines would have picked up on that and then went after them.
Oh yeah, that would have been
Right.
exposed right there.
Exactly.
So are we shipping Alex and Michael still?
Yeah,
Even more so now.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
I'm a Michael fan.
Michael really has grown on all of us, I think, in the last couple of weeks. He was kind of like the forgotten guy no one cared about because he didn't have that many redeeming qualities initially, first couple episodes, and now he's got a ton of them.
Yeah, and they're creating this backstory that makes him endearing.
I no longer see him as this villain alien. I see Michael as a superhero.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
he's a good guy. Let's talk Max and Liz, because that was the other love story that was working simultaneously while we were getting a lot of Michael and Alex. We got a lot of Max and Liz, and we saw these parallels. We saw from the start of the end of Kyle, Liz with the prom, till let's hang out and go on an adventure instead of do our homework. Adventure turns out to just be drinking beer and hanging out.
And attempting to kiss, I guess, or getting close to your face.
And let's not forget teaching salsa.
Look, I've seen the friend zone happen before, but this is the first time on any show and in life I've seen someone get put on hold.
Oh,
She gave him the hold button, and I was like, "Whoa, this is
Forever
new." The hold button, and then I'm thinking, so with that hold being done, we see that Max said in earlier episodes, "I waited for you." Has he been waiting? Is that the moment where the hold button was pressed?
Well, I remember another flashback on 3 episodes ago, where Max, as an 8th grader, was also in love with Liz.
Yes,
And it's not, like he's been in love with her.
He's been in
his
love.
entire adopted life with this family.
And did he just sit back the whole time and watch Kyle take over?
That's right.
He didn't have the guts until this senior year, which actually happens a lot even in high school. Let's be very honest. When it comes to senior year and you realize that there's a sense of urgency and you have the least to lose because you're going to go on summer vacation and go off to your respective colleges, a lot of people tell people their feelings and create that moment that should be on, an episode of Saved by the Bell.
So when I saw Tehran and Jim react to this line that Liz says about, girls shouldn't change their plans for a guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But then Max even says, I'm going to change my plans
I'm gonna
for
be
you.
the guy that changes
and
for a
then
girl.
I was expecting
Weak.
her to remove the hold button, but she said she wanted to wait till they got to the Grand Canyon or the Empire State Building.
Yeah, and if Rosa hadn't died, Max would have went along with that road trip and things would have went very different.
Oh, right. I didn't factor that.
Yeah,
He's
because she just gets
constantly
up and leaves.
Conforming to her. This girl's not giving him enough for him to be chasing her, going on her trips, and doing all these things for her. I've been saying that since day one. He's just literally begging himself to be following her.
Only if you think emotions must be reciprocated. See, the concept is if you really like someone, you like them despite, in spite, and
But then it becomes
if they
creepy. When
like
does it
you or
become
not.
creepy? When does it
becomes
become
creepy when you
stalkerish?
start becoming, when you impress it on them, and that's when it's creepy. However, to be a fan of someone, to actually have an emotion, you can't control emotions. It's not a logical response to
He's
stimuli.
almost a groupie at this
It's
point.
illogical.
He's a Liz groupie.
Sure.
I think, yeah, Jim.
That's the best kind of relationships, though, is when you're a groupie for each other. You are the biggest fan and supporter of the other person.
But to be.
Agreed, but I don't think she's feeling that turn.
She believes in him, and there's a lot of emotion going with her, but she's the more logical of the two.
Is it just me, or did you notice the pacing shift after he couldn't salsa? I thought that was a turn off.
That's asking a lot of him. Okay?
If he had been able to move, if he was able to move
the
to Kyle moves, like,
I feel like Kyle could dance with me.
Oh, yeah,
That's what
for
it
sure.
is.
And that's a deal breaker.
That's what
on
I'm
its
saying.
own.
I actually, okay, it's not that I didn't like Max more. I didn't like Max in this role when it came to Liz because he wasn't confident. He wasn't sure. He wasn't this grown-up Max that we've come to see. He reverts to this high school Max every time he's around Liz. And now we're seeing the actual beginnings of it. And I lost sympathy while gaining empathy for his character.
Empathy, but did you also see a sense of sincerity? The question that's been lingering in a lot of the shows, does Max really love Liz? And if this doesn't prove that he was sincere, although the whole Rosa thing happened, this episode led me to believe that Max was indeed sincere about his feelings to Liz. It gave me that reassurance.
George, what if he has a major crush, a childhood crush, and it's because he can get her, it makes him pursue her more and
chase.
develop more. The chase of not getting anything
Is
from
that
her.
what we think that's happening here?
I think so. I think there's a lot
George?
of that.
I don't know if it's a chase because how much ego is involved if you're willing to wait, are you chasing? If you're willing to wait that long of a span,
She hasn't given him any indication. If she gave him an indication, if she basically said, confirmed her feelings for him and all that, maybe that would have altered or shifted. Maybe his chase for her wouldn't be as persistent and desperate.
Steph, is anyone in the chat saying anything different?
yeah, we need to know.
No, the last question was, can you ask the panel, from Billie Jean Girl 24, can you ask the panel if they think that Isabel has a mental disorder, like
Oh, we're definitely going to get into the Isabel when it comes to Isabel and Rosa. And that was that's our next topic for sure. But we want to hear from each and every one of you, especially in the comments below. Do we think that Max is in love with Liz or in love with the chase?
One more from Billie Jean Girl 24. Max deserves better. Liz is making it too difficult. She won't even tell him how she.
Sheesh.
Steph, if a guy chased you for like 20 years and you gave him nothing, would it be creepy after a while?
Yes.
There you go. Point proven.
Is it creepy or is it, hey, at least he respected my space? And it might become endearing that he's held on for so long.
Yeah, it depends who it is, obviously, and how.
It depends
much
on
you're
if he's
trying.
good looking or not.
Yeah,
I realize
that's
that
right.
has a lot to do
And
with
Max
it.
ain't that
It's
good
usually
looking.
listen. If this is how I've seen this. This is two stories. So let's take scenario A. Scenario A: the girl goes to her locker, finds a note and some flowers from a boy who's really cute. Oh my God, do you know what Brandon did? He left a flower, he left a note. It said, do you like me? Check yes. It only had yes. It was the cutest thing ever. Oh my God, Brandon's so cute.
Yeah.
Let's say Brandon's not attractive, right?
Glasses,
So this is
overweight.
Chris Hemsworth, Brandon, and now we're going with Danny DeVito, Brandon. Okay. Oh my
you're right
God!
there.
Do you know what this creeper Brandon did? He left this dying flower and this ugly handwritten note. It's like, do you like me? Yes, and didn't even leave a box for no because he's a creeper and a stalker. How did he even know where my locker was?
Teron, I don't
But you
necessarily
guys-
agree, but I don't have a strong counter argument for that.
We have to be honest that on both sides, when you shoot your shot,
Yeah.
know that you're on the same level, like playing field as the other person. So
Yeah.
if you have more personality than their looks, then yeah, you're on the same level. But if you don't have either, please don't try.
There's a
Jeez.
counter argument I
right.
wanted to think of, but I was incapable.
That's why I
It
try
wasn't
all the
it wasn't
time.
a counter argument. It was a hand-in-hand argument.
Hand in
yeah.
hand.
Jim, what were you saying?
No, I'm like, that's why I try all the time. And someone tells me it's out of your league. There is no league that's out of my
There's
league.
no league
Oh,
for
see,
Jim.
and that's why you get the comments you do. There's no league out of Jim's league. Do you think Isabel was in Rose's league? And let's talk about that because I felt okay. They didn't show anything, and we kept waiting for that moment.
You were hinting this.
I've been hinting this since the beginning of the season.
Yes.
And this episode, they showed a lot of Isabel and Rosa, and that roller coaster. Do you think? Let's answer Billie Jean's question. Does Isabel have a mental disorder?
She well, what I know for sure, I can't assess a mental disorder. I would be prone to think that because of her unawareness of her actions. But I do think that she has some sort of a social unawareness, because at one point it seemed like she was laying it too heavy on Rosa, and Rosa wasn't comfortable. And even you see Rosa say, "This is too much for me."
Yeah, that's when she came in like she was about to like devour her from the back. She did it like a guy. Like
rest in peace, Selena. But it reminded me of this obsession with the lady who killed Selena.
Murdered Selena. Yeah,
that's what it
Rest in
felt
peace.
like. It felt like she was obsessed with Rosa. And
Bipolar, maybe?
Yeah, see, I was thinking
Like,
some
that's
type
what
of bipolar. Obviously, none of us are
we don't know.
qualified to diagnose anyone, and we would never make light of mental issues and disorders because they're, and thankfully, this show is at least hinting at it.
Yeah, but there's two things, because remember, now she's got in the future, she's got a husband, and she's suddenly acting like she loved it at times.
But you know what? She's drinking all those acetones.
Right, to suppress
clearly,
that too.
Maybe she's self-medicating. Like, she's not that injured, so why is she drinking so many?
Right, and that's only to heal, as we know. Yeah, there's something going on there. We see two different versions, and this whole rage that she's talking about that we're expecting next episode, there's like an alien side maybe of her coming out, like it's a venomous alien that's inside of her.
It wouldn't shock me if the female of the species is the most dangerous, because that is the case in a majority of species, including ours. Steph Sabra is a perfect example.
Oh my
of
gosh,
that.
Tehran, stop that. That's one theory. My theory is this: I believe that it's a conspiracy, and Isobel, someone tapped into her power and is controlling her mind, and I think it's Maines.
As in someone else is tapping in. That could be because there's got to be something more with the blackouts, right? So let's talk Isobel and Rosa, their relationship. Rosa's as confused as we are. One second Isabel's warm, the next second she's cold. They're good friends, and then she's denying her at the diner, and she was harsh too. Like, I'm not taking applications for new friends.
Yeah.
That sounds like something I would say. So it was bad, and just.
Yeah, but
What do you think is there? First of all, are they romantically linked?
Yes.
Yes, I definitely think they're romantically
Holding
linked.
hands, right?
Yes, and you saw the body language of Isobel moving towards her in the diner later at night. I did see a parallel between the strictness of Liz and Rosa's father and the strictness of Alex's father, and I believe that Rosa feared for her identity to be revealed in her father's restaurant, because we saw the father grill Kyle, and that was kind of scary, talking about chopping mountain stuff. So I think that Rosa was hiding a lot from the family, and that's part of the reason why she was pushing away Isobel out of fear of judgment.
There might be a love there, like a strong love that we have not seen on this show.
It affected Rosa.
It certainly did. And first of all, shout out to Rosa. We finally get to see her for the first time this season,
And it
not
made
in a
me
flashback.
like her.
Yes.
It made me finally like Rosa. Now I am intrigued by
Right,
her
because we didn't
murder.
care about her at that point. Last time we were
Exactly.
talking about, like, we were just over the storyline. But now we get to see her. We can connect with her. We see what she's like. We see what she is around these characters. And she's got a lot of issues going on, but she's got redeeming qualities, right? She's kind of a victim of her surroundings in a lot of ways. People messing around with her like Isobel is with her feelings and emotions, and you can see why she might have been taken to this path. And there's that mention of her having a man that wants to take her away and clean her up.
But the way she says it, she's like, "Oh, it's not a guy," as in she
Yeah,
gets that
exactly.
there's something. That was,
Not to
all
worry
these
about.
little things were hints.
Was that a reference to Valenti?
Was it a
Kyle's
reference to
father?
Valenti or the dealer? We don't know. It was interesting.
But it wasn't a
because
threat to
she
Isobel
said
and her.
It's a guy who's also getting clean. So it'd be interesting if Kyle's father was on drugs and he was trying to sober up and we just didn't know
Well,
about
didn't he
it.
have the little lab downstairs? Was that for Rosa from the previous episode?
I mean, that's what we're thinking. We don't know. We're getting to find things out. And I'm glad we slowly are, even though it's
Yeah.
slowly, it's definitely surely. And it's way more intriguing now than before.
definitely.
yeah.
Because everything's connecting. And I do think, speaking on the relationship, I think that Isobel's the one writing those love letters to Rosa all along.
I have always shipped that theory,
Yeah.
so I have to be on board.
You're a prophet of some sort.
No,
'Cause
I'm
you
just
called
saying.
that one early.
I'm
You called
shipping
it
that
early.
theory
Good.
of Isobel Rosa and Isobel and the letters, and it's because that's the person we would have least suspected. And it's also the person we least suspected in the murder. So let's talk about Rosa's murder, because now we actually got to see at least the second after the murder. So we come into the cave and Isobel is holding Rosa and it's like, I did it for you.
Didn't she do some finishing move like Mortal Kombat where she snapped her neck? That's
Something
what I thought.
happened.
Definitely finished her off. Used her powers for sure.
Something happened. We don't know. Definitely killed the other two girls. And
For sure.
so
I believe
did
that.
Rosa find out Isobel and figure out that Isabel's an alien? Because remember, Isobel goes, she couldn't keep a secret. She was gonna tell something
Yeah,
like that.
I had a different theory. My first theory was that she found out she was cheating on. Isobel found out she was cheating on her.
Like Rosa was found
Yeah.
out.
With the
Isabel found
guy.
out Rosa was cheating on Isobel.
Yeah, and that was her reaction. That was my initial
With
reaction.
Kyle's dad?
Or whoever.
perhaps?
Yeah, someone
I
else.
don't-
Or maybe with
I
another
think
girl.
Kyle's
Maybe one of those
dad
two
was-
girls that were there.
I think Kyle's dad was a good guy trying to
Good
help
guy
out.
helping her.
The two
Maybe her
girls
father.
wanted Rosa to deal drugs, and then Rosa wanted their validation and approval. Isobel got back at them for writing "Go Back to Mexico" on the car because remember, she's like, I thought they were my friends, and that's why that whole this is a lot, you're a lot happens.
Oh.
So much happens close. Rosa finds out that Isabel's an alien. Is like, what are you? And she's like, I'm gonna. I gotta tell.
Did
and
she
she's
say
like,
something
"You're
like,
not.
I did this for us?
I
or
did this for you.
So
I did
here's
this for you."
what I think happened now. Isobel kills the friends who are hating on her, said go back to Mexico. And Rosa goes, oh my God, I have to report this. And then she goes, I did this for you, and then kills her so she doesn't blow their cover. Boom.
I mean, there's just a lot.
But that's a
going
lot.
on.
If you love someone the way apparently Isobel and Rosa love each other, would she kill her over that? Like, I don't know if that
That's
would be an
actually,
initial
you know what?
reaction.
I'll tell you something that's very real, and it might be funny just because it's so tragic. Is the concept of the person who's most likely to murder you is a person you know and/or are in a relationship
I've
with.
heard that.
By far, not even a little. The stranger, the black guy in the hoodie, all those things.
The motives are different, right?
All
I
that
mean,
stuff is okay. Those are just really specifically stereotypes. The truth is, look to the guy that you're in bed with, and that's the guy who's way more likely
the
to kill you.
jealousy probably.
Just
and all
anything.
Yeah.
It's actually extremely tragic. That's why I said, haha, tragedy. Isabel's blackouts, what are they?
Her not being able to handle the stress and all that's put on her. I just don't think she can handle any secrets or anything. All the pressure that she has to kind of take care of the guys in her mind is just something she can't handle. And I think these are the reactions of it, her body's reactions to these things.
I still think it's a outside interference. I do,
George, I agree.
Yeah.
Go on.
I do see the character flaws in her obsessiveness and love for Rosa, and I just think that's just her being obsessed with Rosa. But when she blacks out and does these actions, nothing in Isabel's character has led me to believe that these are her doings.
But she's aware of them. She did say, "Oh, it's coming. I know it's coming again." Right?
She's aware of
She's
the blackouts,
feeling-
but she doesn't remember what happens
She
when it
doesn't
happens.
remember what happens.
But I'll tell you why I agree with George, and I'll tell you because remember when she basically, well, from what we think, murders Rosa.
Right.
Michael and Max get this. It's like a screech, and they're like, and they
Yeah.
figure out where she is, and it's like, what if there's another alien that's also controlling her, or somehow? And I think it's another alien. I still think there's another.
There's a
alien
fourth
out there.
alien. It has to be.
Now, I never believed that. Now I'm starting to think that there is a fourth alien. And was that cry that Tehran mentioned, do you think that that was a signal being sent from Isobel saying, save me? Here's my location?
I mean, it was
And
some
she
type
was
of. They can
aware-
kind of sense each other. They've done that before.
Yeah.
They've done it before. And here, let's get into the group of the cover up. What did you guys think about that? Is the cover up with Max setting the car on fire and then Michael using his powers to lift the girls is like, we have to cover this up, lifting them, putting them in the car, driving the car with his mind, with his telekinetic
Yeah.
abilities, and then Max setting it on fire. And then,
okay.
especially with Liz showing the picture, this is what you did to my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what you did, and you covered it up, and you made us the target. For 10 years, we
She
were
had a
attacked.
point.
So-
She had such a strong
but
point.
Jim, so pushover Max is a little more gangster than we give him credit for. He set that car on fire.
He did set the car on fire with his energy.
Yeah, back then. I mean, that's the only thing that's like
they
bad.
all are complicit in this murder.
Yeah, that's harsh
So
what he did there.
do we think that it's right that Liz is like, I never want to see you again, Max Evans?
No question. Yeah, how could she go back to? She doesn't care about him enough. She doesn't love him enough, as we've been saying all along, for her to forgive him. After now, she knows this.
So look, I'm not as, and I gotta defend my boy Max here.
Okay.
I'm not as mad about him setting the car on fire because she was already dead.
No.
She was already dead.
That's accessory after the fact, buddy.
Yeah, they could have maybe brought her back to life. They did kind of
tried.
attempt
No,
that.
he did try.
Max tried, and he goes, I'm not strong enough.
Yeah.
And that maybe we could reconnect to what was mentioned earlier. Maybe that signal that was sent out, that interference, maybe in Isobel, made them all weaker. It shook them up. But Max, where I feel he went wrong, where I will even admit that, is to let her sister's legacy get tarnished, to let her family experience hate crimes and their whole reputation be ruined in the town, and to know that this didn't happen and to not try and do something if you really love Liz. That's where I kind of fell off a little.
He didn't have enough incentive. I will defend him for once. The role reversal here. Why? Because Liz was gone. So why wouldn't he protect his people closest to him, Isobel, Michael, and take the heat off of them if Liz is not even in town? So in that case, he didn't have enough incentive to support that point.
I'm gonna say something that's real, because you said his mistake was not. What'd you say? Like
letting the biggest, well, maybe the outcome of his undoing is that he let the reputation of the family get
tarnished, right?
Yeah.
Okay, George. Yeah. You know what he shouldn't have done? Ever tell Liz. Listen, he should have just not said anything, stuck to the drunk driving, I didn't help her story, and let that go, because this is this is the X factor you don't know. This is a ruin your life, ruin the.
But
there
that
is
goes
no
back
statute
to,
of limitations on murder, buddy.
But that goes back to, yeah, he may not be confident enough to share the truth, but at the end of the day, he is sincere.
How does she forgive him for this? How does she forgive him? There's no way I can see.
I gotta go with Jim on this, bro.
Going forward,
I gotta go with Jim on this.
He
I gotta go with
admitted
Jim.
to killing his sister and
go
covering
with
it up.
Jim.
There's no love. There's no. You can ship that. That romance is getting shipped across the ocean.
The romance, but I'm saying you don't get over that. You don't get over that. Yo, Solange went after Jay-Z. That's all you have to know. And that was over possibly cheating. This is, you murdered the sister.
If they bring him back together and she has feelings for him, then that ruins every credibility and every thought of it.
Got everyone at home. Let's play Who You, our special segment. Let's pick a scene or a character in the show that relates personally to you, George.
This is embarrassing. So you might be able to tell by my necklace, but when I was in high school, there was this trend about chokers, and I always wanted to wear one.
A choker?
And I gotta give props to Alex.
That's
Not
fine.
only did he wear a choker,
I'm glad you like it. Hot dogs are delicious, bro. I don't mind.
He wore a handcuff. It was a handcuff choker, and I was like, that takes confidence. Alex strikes me as like a very confident person, and the fact that he wore that, knowing that he was being scrutinized, I wish I had enough confidence to go back in high school and wear that choker that I wanted to wear.
I'm glad you did it. Jim.
I will admit this. I actually had a Max moment recently, and I couldn't close the deal and even kiss the girl when it was setting up for that.
Okay.
I actually did not come through in a moment, so that was relatable, I guess.
You felt it.
I appreciate that. Tehran? I'm going to go with the moment where Alex and Michael were they're about to get passionate, and then Michael spits so much game, and he's like, yeah, I've done this before, but not with anyone I've ever liked. Like, he spit game at that moment, and I was like, get it. Like, that's such a Tehran thing. You were going to close the deal, but he spit game just to make it extra. Yeah. Now, do I believe him? Maybe, but the game was real.
Yeah,
that's what
Alex
it is.
knows he's in for an experience.
Steph Sabra, drop the predictions.
And now, your Afterbuzz TV predictions.
Jim, what's happening next week?
I think
in the future.
One of the people on the show, that one of our main characters is an alien that we don't know about. So it could be either Kyle, either Alex, someone's an alien here. Maybe even Liz or Rosa.
Okay. I don't know about any of them, but maybe someone we know is an alien. I like that a lot.
if someone's an alien, Maine's the alien, he's the evil alien, he's the one controlling Isabel's mind, which causes her to kill. But now Isabel thinks that it's not someone controlling her. She thinks she's a problem. In the end of the episode, she says, what are we, murderers? All right, then. I think that Isabel's going to go on a killing spree.
Interesting. I think Isabel
episode.
did something during the blackout that we haven't seen yet, and it's going to be something really big, bad, and extremely ugly. I do think there's another alien, possibly someone we've already met, but no one we know. We'll find out as we get right back into Roswell, New Mexico. This is episode 6, season 1. Where can people find you, George, if you want to be found?
Find me at Mr. George Khouri on the gram. Tehran, spell my last name.
Khouri. Jim.
Find me on all social media at the Jim Alexander.
ALEX, whatever, Ender.
Yeah.
No, this is the thing.
Pretty
And
much it.
find me at I am Tehran all across the board. That's IAMTEHRAN. And on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows as I host and panel everything that's good. See you guys next week. We don't know what to do, but they will tell us. Bye, guys. Roswell, same bat time, same Roswell channel.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.